All right, here is what you're going to need to make these stocking name tags. You need a pack of wood rectangles. They're by Woodpile and found in the wood craft section at Hobby Lobby. It was like $3.99 for a package of 8. You need wood beads. I have 2 different options here because at the time I was recording this, I wasn't real sure which one I was going to need. You need paint or stain if you prefer, and you need a brush or something to apply your paint or stain. You need ribbon, scissors for cutting strings, and jute string. The next thing that you need is going to be dependent on the type of string you want. I'm going to use a drill with a 1/8 inch bit to make these holes in the wood rectangles a little bit bigger. And you can see here I have one of these rectangles that I tested stain colors on. I'm going to go ahead and paint over it and use it, and I'm going to make the hole in it just a little bit bigger. So I'm doing toning over paper plate to catch my little wood shavings, and I think I was trying to decide which was the front and which was the back there, and I am just holding it and drilling it through to make that a little bit bigger. And I will say, getting that jute string through that was tight. You might even want to go a little bit bigger than 1/8. It's doable, but you have to work with it a little bit. And that's all I'm going to continue to do here, is to drill a hole to widen that out just a little bit. All right, now that our holes are drilled, I'm just going to take some sandpaper and sand any rough spots. Honestly, I use the only sandpaper I could find for this, and this happened to come off a palm sander that I have. And I'm just sanding a little bit where I drilled out the hole bigger. And if there's any rough edges, you can just take your sandpaper over them as well. I want to say this is like 80 grit sandpaper. That's what I think the number said on the back, but I won't swear to it for that. That's all I did there. And again, use the paper plate to keep track of my wood shavings. And I'm just going to swap out the paper plate so that I can put these on it and paint. And that is our very next step. You are going to paint both sides of these rectangles with the paint of your choice. Now, this is where you would also stain them if you wanted to use stain instead. I will show you at the end some I did with stain as well as some that I painted. They looked totally different from each other, but I found both of them equally adorable. I gave the black set to a friend of mine for her stockings, and then I kept the stained set to go with mine because it matched my decor. Once you have your tags completely painted, both sides, the way you want them to look, you're just going to cut off a piece of your string, and you don't have to use jute. You can use whatever you want. I prefer the look of the jute string on these. And then you're going to run it through that little hole that you drilled out. The holes on some of the tags still had like some wood shavings and splintery pieces filling up the hole, so I just took my scissors and kind of hollowed it out a little bit there to get rid of those little bitty pieces that would make it hard to push that string through. And then once you've got a clean opening, I did have to twist my jute end together just a little bit so it wouldn't fray out. And this is why I said you might want to use a drill bit a little bit bigger than 1/8. I did have a little trouble getting my jute in there on some of the tags. Some tags I didn't, some I did. It's kind of weird. Once you have the string in your tag, or the jute in your tag, you are going to kind of twist the 2 ends of the jute together so that you can like make them as small as possible to go through the beads. And then you're going to decide what order you want your beads in, and you're going to thread both ends of that jute through a bead together at the same time. That one went in pretty easy. Some of these beads took, like, it was just harder to get the jute through. I'm not sure why, if the holes were bigger in some of them or what the deal was. And you'll see me snipping off a few of the frayed ends of the jute as it gets frayed out, threading it through the beads. That's why it helped to leave the jute a little bit longer than what I really needed it to be, because it does fray out real easy, and this way I could just trim off the parts that frayed out really, really bad, and then keep right on working. And this bead obviously was a little hard to get the string through. You got to have patience and you got to work with it, or you could also drill out a bigger hole in these as well if you wanted to. Once you get all 3 beads started through there, you can choose whether or not you want to tie a knot above the beads or not. I did on one set and I didn't on the others. And on this one, you'll see me go ahead and I'll tie a knot right there to kind of hold the beads in place where they are. All right, I'm also tying a knot in the end of the jute, just guesstimating about how long I need these to be and tying the knot there. And that, you could stop right there and have your stocking tag done, but I'm going to glue on a little bit of ribbon just at the bottom of the beads. They're kind of covering up the hole, really, is where I wanted mine. I'm just going to hot glue that on. I discovered on these, if I would make 2 loops with the ribbon and then tie my bow that way, that I ended up with a straighter, more uniform looking bow than if I tied a bow like I would tie my shoes. At this point, your name tag is ready to have a name added. You could use paint, you could use a chalk pen. I used white vinyl and used my Silhouette Cameo to make the names. And that's it. That's all there is to making these name tags. Here's both sets that I made this year, one black and one stained wood. Thanks for watching.